Okay, it's 6:30. I would like to call the
Recording in
regular
progress.
meeting of the Board of Estimate and Taxation for Tuesday, January 18th to order. It is 6:30 p.m. Can we please start the recording? Thank you.
It's recording.
Yes, and we are having a virtual webinar based upon the governor's executive order and guidance from our first selectman that they're not to have meetings, public meetings in town hall. So with this being called to order at 6:30, I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we pull up the flag, please? Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you. So I would like to start with item 2, which is the assessor's report. Our assessor, Lauren Elliott, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow members of the BET. I'd like to present the assessor's report for January 2022. First, I'd like to update you on our tax appeal litigation. We had one tax appeal that was on the 2016 grand list that was withdrawn. The trial that we had held on November 22nd, the town of Greenwich, we got the results from the court. The town of Greenwich has prevailed and there will be no reduction in assessment and no revenue loss. That was on the 2015 grand list. And there were 2 parcels. It was just one litigant. The senior program, our state and local senior program, the filing period is February 1st. And it goes through May 16th this year, 2022. Both the local and the state forms shall be mailed to every senior that has been on the senior program previously. We will also be sending any applications to those people who have walked into our office and asked us to send them an application as well. For the revaluation 2021, the informal hearings with Tyler and JF Ryan have been completed. They ended on January 12th last week. We finished all the changes from those hearings today, and they've been entered into the ProVal system. So we shall be posting and bridging all these new assessment values by the end of the week. Quality Data, which is our admin, that is our vendor for our administration and tax bills, will be sending out a notice to every single property owner, regardless of whether they went to an informal hearing or not. On this informal notice, or this final assessment notice is what it's called, and I've also attached that to my report. It will give every property owner their next appeal steps if they wish to do so. And that's going to be before the Board of Assessment Appeals. Since I will be signing the grand list by January 21st, we will be sending the notices out probably the week of January 24th or so. That means the Board of Assessment Appeals deadline will be February 22nd this year. The 20th is a Sunday, the 21st is a holiday. So anybody who wishes to appeal their assessment at this point to the Board of Assessment Appeals must do so in writing by February 22nd, by the end of the business day. So anybody have any other questions for me this evening?
Thank you, Lauren. I think that was very clear and helpful. And again, congratulations on all the work it took to put together the 2021 reval. So thank you. Are there any other questions?
There's some hands raised.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not.
Laura's
Okay, I think Laura Erickson.
Thank you. Lauren, I just wanted to clarify. So it doesn't look like you need the extension
No,
that we had previously approved. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Leslie Tarkington.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, following up from Laura's point, in each of the revals that we've had previously, in 2015, 2010, 2001. We've always used this extension. So the department and the staff really need to be commended, especially since this was a physical as well as the data evaluation. So congratulations to Lauren and the department. And I'd also like to point out, Lauren mentioned the senior tax relief, but perhaps only in Greenwich. But a senior can apply for tax relief if his or her home is valued up to $2,654,000. So really, it's quite amazing to me that we offer tax relief to up to that level for seniors who obviously qualify for income and other reasons, but I think that's. So I will move that we accept the assessor's report.
Seconded.
Any objections? Okay, the assessor's report is accepted with unanimous consent. Thank you. The item 3 is the controller's report. That will be presented by Peter Minarski, our controller. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I'll start out with page 1. We go to market every January, and this year we had 40 million in general obligation bonds and 75 million in bond anticipation notes. We did something a little bit different this year. It's paragraph 3 under the annual capital projects financing in the controller's report. We've been losing a day every year for the last 10 years, and we had to do the credit reviews very early in the middle of December. And one of the requirements is the credit agencies like to see a completed audit report. And we didn't have a completed audit report till the Monday after the Friday credit reviews. So we decided between myself, Robinson and Cole, the bond counsel, and the financial advisor, Bill Lindsay, to extend the bans for 1 year so that we next year, or I should say the next year's financing, we go a couple weeks later. That way we can have the credit reviews after the holidays in early January. And it takes the stress off of the auditors having to produce their annual comprehensive financial report. So we did this year, and the bans, the bond anticipation notes, are they're about 24 days over 2 years. So we did that, and I also traditionally put in the previous year's results, which are in the controller's report. Last year was the record breaker. That's the lowest rates we ever got for the bans and the notes. I mean, the notes and the bonds. And this year, we're the second best. So we had 2 consecutive years where we had very low interest rates. Based on what I'm seeing is I think next year we'll start to trend upwards a little bit. And let's hope that the phasing in is very slow and very minor. But that's how we did with the financing this January. At this point, if you have any questions on the financing or the controller's report, I'll answer them at this point.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Leslie Moriarty.
Yes, I wanted to ask one follow-up question on just the status of the single audit. Do you expect to be able to complete that, or the auditors will complete that this month?
Okay. As the returning, all the returning members know, this is the second year, and I'll answer that out of respect to the new members who didn't see this last year. Because of the Assessor 1 and 2 funding last year, the CARES Act, et cetera, there was from the Office of Management and OBM and OMB, whatever, from the federal government, the auditors had to wait for guidance on how to audit the CARES Act, Assessor, and all of the monies that were received. And this year we had additional monies from Assessor 3 and the ARP fund. They're waiting for that guidance. We have completed the audits. I want to make that clear. The regular audit and the single audits are cleared. We got an extension through January 31st, and I haven't heard back from them as far as whether or not they received guidance. But we will either have it for the audit and the BET probably in the month of February, because January is basically gone. But Leslie, the audits have been completed. It's just we're waiting for the auditors to get guidance on how to complete their reports.
Okay, thank you. I had a second question, if I may. This has to
Yes.
do with, in the risk management section of your report on the third-party subrogation claims. You refer to an item that I believe you did bring up with the audit committee, is to expand that program where departments pay for vehicle damage rather than it just being centralized in the finance department budget. I believe that that's what is referred to there. And you look at making a change. Will those specific items as it affects the fiscal 23 budget be raised in February so we can accommodate whatever the policy change you're anticipating?
The answer is yes, but let me clarify that. We currently, Leslie's referring to the at-fault vehicle policy. We've put about $125,000 into 4 separate budgets: the police, the fire, public works, and the Parks and Rec. And when we determine that the employees in them respective departments are responsible for accidents, town-owned vehicle accidents, not from third-party damages, they have to pay for it out of their budgets. So to answer your question, it's the dollar amount should be the same for the 4 respective departments. But what we're trying to do is clarify when is a department actually responsible for a town-owned vehicle. One perfect example is a police car. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. A policeman is in a car and he's responding to an incident, and a deer runs out in front of him and hits the car. And this is not unusual. This is something that happens commonly a couple times a year. They've determined that it's not their responsibility, and that it's because the deer, it's well, I don't want to blame the deer, but they're saying it's not their responsibility. So we're looking for clarity as far as the responsibility of the employee in the respective department. But to answer your question it's going to stay, as far as the budget impact, the $125,000 will stay the same. It's just clarifying the vehicle policy about responsibility, culpability on who's responsible for the accident. And yes, the short answer is yes, it'll be dealt with in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I did not have all that information.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, Leslie. We have Bill Drake.
Hi, Pete. Will
Hi,
you
Bill.
please remind us, maybe you did before, on the ARPA portion of your report, you wrote that the town administrators made this RFP for what exactly? Please remind us.
That's the nonprofits. He opened it up for the 501c3s, the nonprofits, to bid, to request monies, ARPA monies, if qualified, for the respective services that the nonprofits in the town provide. It was January 10th was the cutoff. I'm not part of that process as far as evaluating the RFPs. What it did do was delay slightly the process for awarding ARPA monies to the respective, whether they're nonprofits or their town departments. But that's basically opening it up to all the nonprofits in town that service the town of Greenwich.
I see. It's like inviting them to apply for the money in their fields of activity. Okay.
Yes, correct.
All right. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Bill. We have Lori Erickson with a question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to add on a little bit to Pete's earlier comments answering Leslie Moriarty's question, because this did come up in audit. And there were 2 topics really. One was We had rolled this out to 4 departments some years ago. And the question was, why aren't all departments included in the program? So that was one charge that Megan was going to look at. And the second aspect was, should we be looking at not just town-owned vehicles, but any vehicle involved in any incident? So that was another part of her charge. So I think we were awaiting more information. And I don't know if we're going to have that information in time for a fiscal year 23 budget. But I just wanted to add that additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
I see no further questions.
So I move that we accept the controller's report.
I second.
Any objections? Okay, that is Leslie Tarkington, seconded by Leslie Moriarty, passes unanimously. Thank you. Next is item 4, the treasurer's report. I believe, Peter, you'll be making that.
Yes, do you all have a copy of the treasurer's report through December 31st? You can see the in the lower right, it consists of $261 million. Traditionally, I open up, if you have any questions, I'll answer them regarding the treasurer's report.
I see no questions.
I move its acceptance.
Okay, Jeff Raymer, second.
Second,
Leslie Tarkington, I believe. Any objections? Okay, the treasurer's report has been accepted. Thank you very much, Peter, and please thank your team for their excellent work.
I will, thank you.
Okay, next is item 5, which is reports from the BET Standing Committee. And just to point out to everybody, typically I will get a sense if there's a need to report to the full BT. In this case, I believe Budget Committee, Leslie Tarkington, is going to make a report, particularly around the upcoming budget hearings. Thank you, Leslie. The floor is yours.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. The town's annual budget cycle will begin next Tuesday, January 25th at 6 p.m. with the first selectman's presentation of the town's fiscal 23 budget, followed by the Board of Education Chair and School Superintendent presenting the BOE fiscal year 23 budget. A virtual public hearing is scheduled to immediately follow, with speaker remarks limited to 3 minutes each. The presentations and hearing will be broadcast on Zoom and Greenwich Community Television channels 24, 79, and YouTube. An online form accessible through the public hearing agenda will be available for those who prefer to provide written comments. The Budget Committee will continue with full-day budget meetings with town departments beginning on February 1st. The 12-day schedule will be available on the town website, both in the BET's Everything calendar and a separate fiscal year 23 budget calendar, which will identify the Zoom access. Budget cycle meetings, like the public hearing, will be broadcast on GCTV channels 24, 79, and YouTube. An additional schedule of the individual department meetings will be posted and will be updated as needed. The fiscal year 23 budget meetings provide the public an opportunity to learn details about the town's operating revenues and expenditures. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Item 6 are the liaison reports.
Can I just one quick thing with to Mrs. Tarkington for the benefit of the public? Mrs. Tarkington, do you want to mention how people who would be interested in speaking on the 25th, how they can reserve themselves a space to speak?
The process will be as it has been in our previous Zoom public hearings, Jeff. The process will be that opportunity will become available at the meeting, and the raise your hand feature will be available. And for those who are watching on television through GCTV, there is a call-in number through the Zoom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up are item 6, BAT liaison reports. There are none for this meeting. Item 7, BT Special Project Team Reports, none for this meeting. Item 8, Old Business, none for this meeting. And on new business, item 9, the only item of new business is the 2020-21 annual report. This is a first read for the BET, so we're not going to take a vote tonight. Just so everyone's aware, the annual report is about 220 pages. So your BET public servants will be enjoying themselves over the next few weeks reading through it. But it really, it's a package of information that is required by the state. But I can say that, you know, the team at Greenwich does a great job. If you want to know anything about any department within the town, there's comprehensive information on the budget, on the activities of that department and their activities. So Peter Minorski, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't have anything to add. Well, I do, but Stephen has a question.
Oh, sorry. Stephen?
Mr. Rosensmeyer, if we have comments or changes, proposed changes to the annual report, how should we convey them?
That was going to be my comment. I should have said that. Shara Davis, you all have access to Shara Davis. I know last year Laura Erickson had a number of edits. She does a great job of reading it from front to back. Any comments, grammatical or otherwise, get them in as quick as possible, just in case we need to get back to the department for a substantive change. But to answer your question, they have to go through Shara Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Benarski.
Okay. This point, item 10.
Laura has a question.
Oh, sorry. Laura.
Chairman.
Well, thank you, Pete. It's really more of a comment, and I think we did this last year, but refresh my memory. Because budget season is coming up and we often have RTM members and perhaps other members of the public. I know the draft document is published on our agenda for this evening, but should we, and did we do this last year, put it in draft form on the budget reports, financial reports section of the website as well? I can't recall exactly, but I thought we did.
We could put it up. I'll double check with Shara, and we could put it up in draft form. If that's okay with the 12 members.
I have no objections. If you're okay with that, Peter. Any other comments?
No.
So my hand is up. I agree with that suggestion. I think it's a good one, Laura. I'm not sure we did it before, but I just wanted to point out to the board, the BET's responsibility for the annual report is to compile and publish the report. We're not responsible for the accuracy of all the data. So I'm just making sure all of our members know that they don't have to go back to every board's meeting to verify every number in that report if they were so inclined. And I also just want to mention, it may impact the way the motion is phrased in next month's agenda, as opposed to approving the report. I don't know whether we just accept it. We should be turning it over to the RTM per the charter. It's Article 15, Section 224. But it's a little different than reports that we generate and sign off on.
That's a helpful clarification. Peter, do you have any comments on that?
No, I don't.
Okay, so we'll need to sort out that question before the next meeting, whether it's acceptance or approval or something like that. So we can talk about that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more comments on item 9? Okay. Item 10 is the BT meeting minutes. Just so everyone's aware, there were 3 sets of minutes from the previous term. For those, there will only be an acceptance because there are 4 new members. Oh, and then there's for the January 5th meeting, it will be an approval because everyone's there. But I believe Karen Fasiotis, you have a question or comment? Thank you.
Yes, since we're, I just went through them again. On the December 16th minutes, Dennis Kokinos was not part of the attendee portion in the front of the minutes. So I would make a motion to add him since he was present at that meeting. And then also at the December 23rd and the 24th meetings, I'm sorry, 23rd and the 4th and January 4th meeting. The name of the firm is Marino, Zabel and Schellenberg PLLC, not Marino, Kokinos and Schellenberg, which appears in the minutes. So that needs to be changed. And then also Barbara Schellenberg was present at the January 5th meeting and should be added to the attendee list.
Thank you, Karen. Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it, and I just wanted to be sure that I noted everything that Karen said. So Karen, just so I get it right, for the December 16th, I add Kokinos?
Yeah, in the attendee section on the first page where we put, who attended.
Yep. And on the 23rd, same?
No, the 23rd and the January 4th within the body, and I don't exactly remember where, but the name of the firm is Marino, Zabel and Schellenberg PLLC, not Marino, Kokinos and Schellenberg. So that was in two different places on the 23rd and January 4th.
Yep, and on the one for the 5th, that's actually Nisha's job, but go ahead while you're talking.
Yeah, Barbara Schellenberg was present at the meeting and should be added to the attendee on the first page.
Okay. Thanks. So between Nisha and me, or I'll make the changes to the old set, and I'm sure Nisha will consider.
So are there any objections to the motion made by Karen, seconded by Bill?
I have a modification. So
Thank you.
in the past, when we've had Ms. Schellenberg attend the meeting, I believe we just referred to her as the town attorney. She was speaking in her role as town attorney. So I'm not sure it's appropriate. I don't believe it's appropriate to add the name of the firm. I don't think we did that with the prior town attorney. It's a minor point, I get it, but I had gone into the OneDrive and on the general document, Bill, you'll see that if you go in and remove the name of the law firm completely and just left the acknowledgement that Schellenberg is our town attorney. Karen, would you agree to?
Yeah, I would support that. Yeah, the only place where it should be present is when we're identifying Dennis Kokinos, because he's considered basically outside counsel.
Okay, so so that motion, if there's a modification to remove the two locations where the firm name was going to be added or modified.
And Leslie, those changes seem fine to me. Did you say you made them in OneDrive or didn't?
I did make them in OneDrive earlier today. I had informed you and Dan about the comment, and you had suggested I make that in the OneDrive. You'll be able to see it. It was in the reviewing. It was not just edited.
Okay. For my part, that all seems fine.
Okay, Nisha?
So I would just move the minutes as amended.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
So I think I would suggest that we take two votes. One is for the acceptance of the first 3 minutes. And then we take a second for the approval of the January 5th. Is that?
Fine.
Yep. Okay.
So did Karen just move the acceptance of the first three?
Yes. Minutes, yes.
Yep, and who was the
Yeah,
second?
actually, according to Robert's rules, the body can vote to approve minutes, even if you were not members of the body previously. But since our tradition has been to accept, I'll move to accept.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
I'm sorry, who's the second? I can't see the second.
Bill.
Bill, okay, thank you, Bill. Okay, and then
The first 3 sets.
can we approve these with unanimous consent?
Accept them with unanimous consent, yes.
Okay,
As
there's no
amended.
objections. Okay,
As
as
amended.
amended.
Okay, thank you.
And then can I have a motion for the approval of the January 5th organizational meeting?
So moved.
And a second.
Second?
Second.
And there,
Can we,
have the modification to add the presence of Barbara Schellenberg, right?
are we adding her or are we not adding her? What did we
Yes,
decide?
no, we're adding
We
her. She
are
was
adding her.
present at the meeting.
On the 5th, we're adding her on the 5th.
And then we're identifying her as town attorney, not the firm, just town attorney, I believe.
So as a, yeah. So we can, I guess we can approve these by unanimous consent as amended if there are no
Yes.
objections.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, that finishes item 10. Item 11 is the chair's report, and I am going to make it very brief, as this is our first meeting of the term. I just want to reemphasize again that we have a lot in front of us. So far, I've seen, a lot of hard work and cooperation, amongst all members of the team and our incredible professional staff. Our key focus clearly over the next few months will be the budget process. And within that, certainly the ARP and the ESSER funds and how they integrate into the overall budget will be really a key priority to make sure that we procedurally and from a timing point of view, incorporate that into our thought process. So again, I thank everyone for their work. At this point, I would like to request a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay. Any objections? So we adjourned at 7:01 PM.